Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast with Jared Kirk and Matt Milbauer. Hey listeners, I want to thank our sponsors. If you haven't noticed, we like sponsors that do something in particular, and that's giving back. You'll notice with both of our sponsors, they give back, and that's one of the reasons we really love them. And we hope that you take a look at what they're doing and help support them so they can help support this hobby and sport that we love. First up, Bird Hunter Supply, your go-to for premium hunting gear at birdhuntersupply.com. This family-owned business, run by a husband and wife team from Idaho, is driven by their love for bird hunting, dog training, and the great outdoors. For them, hunting is a treasured family tradition. Think crisp mornings in the field, the thrill of the chase, and those irreplaceable moments with dogs, family, and friends. They've built Bird Hunter Supply to share that passion, curating high-quality gear to help you create your own lasting hunting memories with your crew. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned hunter, Bird Hunter Supply has you covered with top-notch equipment from dog training tools to hunting apparel, backed by exceptional customer service to make your experience unforgettable. Best of all, they're deeply committed to preserving the wild spaces we love. When you shop at birdhuntersupply.com, you can choose at checkout to direct a percentage of your order to conservation powerhouses like Pheasants Forever, Ruffed Grouse Society, or Delta Waterfowl. Your purchase helps these groups protect vital habitats and sustain the wildlife that makes our sport possible, ensuring hunting traditions thrive for generations. Visit birdhuntersupply.com today. Explore their carefully selected gear and support a family-run business dedicated to both hunters and the outdoors. That's birdhuntersupply.com. Gear up, hunt with purpose, and help preserve the wild. Now let's talk about our next sponsor, Hunt Ready. If you chase birds like we do, you know a great upland vest is one of the most important pieces of gear you own. Hunt Ready builds tough, modular, ultra-light strap vests that are sourced and sewn right here in the USA. Their Deviate and Elevate series use smart, patented designs that actually stay comfortable mile after mile, whether you're carrying birds, water, or extra shells. They're built by hunters for hunters who put in real miles in the uplands. But what really sets them apart is their Pave the Way program. It's a first-of-its-kind initiative focused on getting high-quality vests to the next generation of upland hunters. They accept nominations for kids who are fired up about bird hunting and work to help equip as many as they can so those kids can get out there building real memories with their dog and their shotgun. If you're in the market for a new vest or you want to keep upland hunting alive for kids, check out Hunt Ready at huntready.com. That's HUNTREDI.com. Lastly, but definitely not least, I want to thank all of you patrons out there that support us on Patreon. You keep the lights on month after month. Really, thank you for your support. Links to all of our sponsors and their really cool programs that give back are linked in our podcast description, and credits to our producers. If you're interested in becoming a producer of the show, you can check the link there and find out how. Hey listeners, before we get into the episode, I wanted to talk about our newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter yet, feel free to. If you go to the podcast description and kind of go down towards the bottom, you'll see a link that says sign up for our newsletter. Click that, you'll get a newsletter in your email box every week. Try to get it every week. It'll be mostly every week. But you'll get previews for upcoming episodes, some more background information about our guests or what we talked about during the episode on the weeks we have new shows come out, and even maybe some commentary, maybe some outdoor writing. We'll see where this takes us. But anytime you want to unsubscribe, if you're not into it, feel free to unsubscribe as well or resubscribe again. But it's just another way to get plugged into Go Flush Yourself and all the different things and folks we are talking to. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast. I'm Matt, and I'm solo tonight without Jared as a co-host, but I'm joined with a guest, Mike Ritterbeck. Mike joins us from Ohio, and he is a self-proclaimed field spaniel guy. Is that how we should say it, Mike?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I
Yeah, why don't
have
you
my
tell me
first
about that?
I have my first field spaniel. It's kind of a juicy story how I come to the breed. I started my upland hunting career um, kind of as a segue off of waterfowl. I have a lab. He's older, slower. I went waterfowl hunting with him, until he was 5 or so, and then wanted to get into upland hunting a little bit more. Started searching around, found a guy in Michigan, got a cocker off of him. She was fantastic. Had her for she was just about 10 months old, and she ate some glass rocks, wound up bleeding to death
Oh.
really quickly on the way to the vet.
Mm.
She had chased a little critter into like a propane fire pit where those little glass rocks like glow or whatever. Um, so she didn't even make it to the vet. But she was spectacular. It was so much fun having her. I took her to the UP. We hunted solo for a couple of days. I had a friend join me. He's got springers. Um, he was kind of showing me how in Michigan they call it two track, and they hunt either side of it. And so they push their dog into the cover for rough grouse, and the dogs will push the grouse back out onto the two track. And she was doing that with them. It was awesome. But then, like I said, so she passed away. I give it about maybe 6 months or so, and that same friend who has the springers that I was hunting with, and he was showing me how they do it in Michigan. He's like, I know you really loved your cocker, but are you going to be able to replace her and not always think of what she was and all that? Because she was just, I mean, she was sitting on a whistle at 100 yards at 10 months old.
Mm.
She was learning to handle for like retriever type stuff like labs do. At 10 months old, she was running T pattern. She was running pattern blind. She was through all the force fetch stuff. She was just dynamite. At 10 months old, you could hunt with her. Um, and so anyway, I didn't think that I'd be able to replace her the same way. So the friend that's got the springers, he's like, I know you loved her, but you do a lot of goose hunting over there in Ohio. Why don't you look at a different breed? I know this guy, he's got field spaniels, and I had never heard of a field spaniel, never seen one. Um, get on the AKC's website, kind of like the description of the breed. Um, they are certainly they're a very close cousin to a cocker or a springer. Um, you know, a long time ago, the cocker, the springer, and the field spaniel were all the land spaniel, right? They separated out
Mm.
the breed by size. The little ones were called cockers, the larger ones were called springers. Um, and the field spaniels just kind of got the name by doing their job. And then they almost went extinct.
Mm.
Uh, because of the show world and what was kind of going on there. They had built them too long, too low, and too stocky to really be out in the field. So then a group of people got together and they saved the breed, and that is what the breed is today. So anyway, so I kind of got that history lesson from a guy named Neil Winters, who um, is an awesome guy. He lives like all the way up in northern Michigan. Came down to run a field trial with me just to watch my dog run and put his dog on other birds. And we have a non-sanctioned field trial group in Ohio called the Hunters Trials.
Yeah.
It's kind of so you got to shoot for yourself, um, and you put your dog on the ground. There's a couple chucker out there. Your dog goes out, flushes, you shoot. Um, they retrieve. The judges kind of score you based on how well your quartering pattern. Anyway, he did that. He came down to Ohio just to do that with me. He's an awesome guy. He gave me the big lesson on field spaniels, and put me in touch with a breeder. Um, that breeder had a really, really nice female. They wanted to continue the lineage because there's so few field spaniels out there. When you get good ones, you got to make sure that the line carries on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she was great. So he put me in touch with her and her husband. And after lots of questions. And hey, I come from labs. That's what, I say I have a chocolate lab, Sam. Um, can they do the work? Can they, I had heard, oh, they're a little slower. They're, so, there were people that were like, oh, they don't have a ton of hunt drive. Well, we just were at, trying to remember the name of the town now, in Wisconsin for a hunt test, an AKC hunt test. He just turned one, my field spaniel, and he had so much drive that he squealed on the watermark the entire way out to the bird. Squealed through the water until he had the bird in his mouth and then brought it back.
Hmm.
It was great. So they have a ton of drive. You just have to kind of harness it early on and know what you're looking for when you go to get a puppy.
Right. Very, very cool. Very informative. So, for the listeners who aren't aware, and I might be one of those, kind of what does a field spaniel look like? Like if I look on adult average, field bred field spaniel, we'll say, not those show ones that look like a dachshund, it sounds like, but
Yeah.
like size, maybe comparison to other kind of spaniels or dogs, and like color, markings, all that kind of stuff.
So we have solid black, solid liver. Um, we do have black and tans, liver and tan.
Hmm.
So they have like a tan point with a tan muzzle, tan
Hmm.
on the feet. And then there's a lady that has a couple of tricolors. And then we
Okay.
also have roan, which is like a white kind of grizzled look
Hmm.
in the white and black. So we have liver roan or black roan, blue roan. Um, but those dogs are not as popular. Most
Sure.
of the dogs that you're going to see um, in the field spaniel are going to be the solid black or the solid liver most of the time, and then like a big white patch on the chest is kind
Hmm.
of typical.
Okay.
Um, I think one of the biggest differences that you'll see in a field spaniel is their bone structure is incredibly bigger. Um, my field spaniel is 52 pounds. He's a
Oh
year
wow.
old. Yeah, he's 52 pounds, 18 and a quarter inches at the shoulder. But his paws, and I have a picture of this from the winter. His paws in the snow and my lab's paws in the snow are the exact same size. They're enormous, and it gets them into trouble. They, just like most spaniels, have an abundance of energy.
Mm.
With this big bony structure, he has been on pain medicine a handful of times for sprains and strains and different things.
Yeah.
Because they're, like I said, their bone structure is so big, they
Right.
kind of they got to catch up. Um, the other the other big difference is their ear length. Their ears are reminiscent of a basset hound ears.
Really?
They super long, yeah. So you put all the things together. So the big bony structure, um, dock tail, coat, maybe. I know you guys, you have a field bred Springer that's Bones, right?
That's
Is
Jared's. I have two field bit springers.
okay, and
Yeah, Bridge and Sophie.
they oh okay, and they're kind of their coats are lighter probably.
Yeah, especially Bridges. It's pretty short. Yeah, with
Um,
some feathering on her belly, chest, and on her arms and legs, but not much.
that's kind of where field spaniels also they're not they're not super heavy coated, um, but they're certainly a lot denser than most field bred springers.
Right.
Kind of think like bench bred springers,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
as far as not combed straight to the ground and fancy and all that stuff
Sure.
um, necessarily, but it can be. The other thing, so in the field spaniel world, they don't separate show versus field bred. Um, they like both. They
Hmm.
like they like all the fanciers of field spaniels want to see, AKC Master, Hunter, and Champion.
Oh,
on
interesting.
their
Okay.
dogs. Yeah. So my dog gets mostly confused with a Boykin.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say. Yeah.
yep, Boykin. That because their coat's kind of curly a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
a little wavy, like when it gets wet, it's a little wavy, it's a little curly, stuff like that. And he's pretty densely coated. In Ohio we get some, pretty cold weather, and he's out there retrieving ducks, and it's 30 to 30 degrees maybe on the high end to 25 degrees, and he's out there retrieving ducks and doing just fine.
Wow. Okay. So that's a big boykin though. So like
Yeah,
55-pound boykin. That's a big boykin. Um, so retrieving ducks, um, where does he shine more in the uplands or in the wetlands and the duck blind? Like, is there something he's better at, or you can tell like he's really liking this more, or it's just like being
definitely
out
better.
there
It's definitely better in the uplands.
in the uplands?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, he's gonna duck hunt. Like, we've got a trip to North Dakota this year. We've got a 10-day trip, and it's a um for there's well, we did have so we've got 6 guys going now, and it's kind of an opportunistic hunt. Like, if it's feathered, it's it's free game.
Yeah.
Sandhill Crane is on the bucket list for a
Nice.
couple of guys.
Yeah.
A couple of guys have a speckled-bellied goose on the bucket list. I
Hmm.
have Hungarian partridge on my bucket list.
Nice.
But yeah, the field spaniel, he will be in the duck blind. He'll be in an Invisilab, like in the goose field with me.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm in a layout blind. He's in an Invisilab. He'll do that. But he's not the lab that'll sit there for 8 hours and not do anything. At the 3 hour mark, it's like, okay, if I don't get a
Yeah.
bumper out and throw it for him, he's going to go nuts. Um, Uplands, he naturally, I really didn't do much to teach him to quarter. He just always has his nose to the ground. He's always hunting. I mean,
Hmm.
even I've got a half-acre backyard, and he's been in it a million times. But every time I open that door,
Yeah.
he's hunting for whatever, a Tweety bird that landed in the yard or a rabbit that ran through or something.
Hmm.
Um, and he's on a quartering pattern. This hunt test I went to last week, like I said, I didn't really have to teach him a quartering pattern. He does really well, like on a come around whistle, stuff like that. So when he was kind of ranging out a little further, just a little tweet, tweet, turn around and, start working the other direction. They were originally bred for over in Europe. They have the blackthorn stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
really nasty, cover. And that, I think, is the big difference. Is like, I have hunted with some springers and some labs and some cockers now, and um, he will get into the stuff harder and just not care about it. Just really attack that thorny, nasty, heavy stuff. Sometimes we have like the what's it called, Rosa Sharon
Yeah.
stuff here. And he gets in there and doesn't matter. There's a bird in there, he's going in after it, and um, that longer coat helps a little bit, I think. Protects
Yeah.
him a little bit. Heavier, denser coat helps and protects a little bit.
Hmm.
And he walks away, and he's got, because of those long droopy ears, he's got little cuts on his ears and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
How is this fur with burrs? I imagine it's probably similar to our springers, where
Yep.
when after a long day of hunting, it's like, you got to brush out for about an hour on the tailgate or so.
Yeah. I want to purchase stock and show sheen. I spread my
Yeah.
dog down with that stuff because that's a pain in the butt.
Hmm.
Cocker burls and all that stuff, and those
Yep.
little tiny, uh, I don't even know what they're called. They're like a little seed that just sticks to, yeah, they're like flat or whatever. Those, I think, are the worst. They get up underneath his armpits. There'll be 20 of them underneath there, and
Yeah.
that's a sensitive area to comb out. Um,
Yep.
so when we started hunting, so field spaniels, and I don't know, there might be some other spaniels that kind of go through this, but almost all field spaniels do. They go through this like fuzzy stage before their
Hmm.
adult comes in. And so they're just super, super fuzzy. Um, and that was a really tough time. Can you hear him barking in the background?
No.
Is that, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that was a really tough time for to hunt him. Combing that out every time. It
Yeah, I bet.
was, you know, that was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Well, how does so you said it didn't take much to train him when it comes to quartering. It sounds like a lot of the hunting instincts were natural. And we've discussed that. I don't know if you listen to our podcast with oh, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. The guy from Mortar Gun Dogs. Anyhow,
Yeah.
my brain just can wake up after a long day at work. Anyhow, um, but he had mentioned how, with a good bird dog, you don't need to train it to hunt. You have to train it to like slow down when you're at home or, doing stuff where you're not hunting. So how's it been with that side of it? Because I know that's an adventure for me and my springers on getting them to have good manners at home on walks and not just be, I'm hunting. Maybe there's a bird here and under the couch. I'm gonna go check.
Yep. Probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
So one of the first things we started doing, obviously, is just like the basics when you bring them home and stuff. I wanted to foster a love for the retrieve. There's
Yeah.
no field spaniels that have any HRC titles.
Mm,
Uh, they're eligible to run in the HRC, but there's none that do.
hmm.
I love that game, so I have a very lofty goal of being the first guy to put a field spaniel all the way through HRCH, hunting retriever champion. Um,
That'd be cool.
and yeah, and so I wanted to build a love for that, and so that's a good outlet. Every day he gets fun bumpers. We brought him home at 9 weeks old, and it was a heavy dose of socialization. I mean, it was Home Depot and Lowe's, and anywhere you can take them, we
Yeah.
were there. They have, in the breed description, if you read it on like the AKC,
Hmm.
um, they have a less merry disposition than like a cocker. They're more reserved. They're a little bit more independent. And you actually see that kind of like in
Hmm.
hunting too. Like my cocker never hunted for herself.
Right.
My field spaniel will hunt for himself a little bit. Um, when we were starting the fetch process and really going through like a formal force fetch,
Mhm.
um, once we went to the ground from the table, it was it was trying. um, he would pick something up, but then he doesn't want to stay within range, so it was a check cord for a long time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because if
Okay.
not, he would play keep away. It was, I'll fetch it, but I'm not bringing it back to you.
But
That's
I
that's
got this,
mine.
not you. Yeah, it's mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think you deserve
Um,
this bird? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, the basics, like the sit, stay, here, heel, that type of thing. Pretty simple. And they're easier to live with, I think, than what our cocker was. Our cocker would run across the back of the couch,
Yes.
if she hadn't had enough outlet for the day.
Right.
Um, with him, you know, uh, you do a little bit of training a couple of times a week at a year old, and he's easy to live with.
Right.
We joke
Very
that our
cool.
lab is more like a piece of furniture sometimes than anything because he just lays there, and
Yeah.
he's certainly the field spaniel is definitely not that. But I think they're a little easier to live with than what our cocker was.
Okay. Okay. So if you, and this is your opinion, you don't have to have like the expert, like this is what the actual answer is, but in your opinion, if maybe I'm wrong, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but if someone's get into upland hunting and they want their first dog and they want a flushing breed or retrieving breed, um, I think lab is like easy mode, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, where's the field spaniel in terms of are we like expert mode or are we somewhere in the middle? Is it above the Springer Cocker, um, Boykin, or is it because it sounds like you've experienced with Springers, Cockers, Labs, and Field
Yeah.
Spaniels. So like where does it fit in that hierarchy in your opinion?
They have to be prepared. If somebody was looking at the breed, they have to be prepared for a dog that is not as eager to please.
Right.
They are a thinking breed.
Mm.
Um, if they don't feel like they got a problem to solve, they're going to come up with one themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think labs are, at least in my experience, labs are definitely easy mode, right? Like they want to please,
Hmm.
and they're super forgiving. You get real
Right.
heavy-handed or hard on a lab, um, I mean, you got to really do something drastic to hurt their feelings.
Hmm.
Spaniel, field spaniel, you can hurt his feelings. Um, he's never done anything totally out of spite, but certainly shut down in training, if you get too heavy-handed. I think one of the things with the field spaniel that is a big difference between like a springer or a cocker is somebody would have to be prepared for their speed. If somebody was looking at upland hunting and they're like, man, I went to this field trial and there was a springer running 90 mile an hour across this field and they put up every bird in 25 minutes. It was crazy. They went and watched that. They would wanted that level of athleticism. They certainly wouldn't want to get a field spaniel.
Okay.
Um, Field spaniels have, I would say, at least the ones I've seen now, a handful of them, they have 3/4 speed of a field bred Springer.
Okay.
Um, but they'll do it all day long. Um, you know, we hunted one of our preserves and we were out for 6 hours. Even after 6 hours, I still had him at the same speed as when he got off the truck.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
So who is the right kind of maybe describe what's the right person's living situation, approach to upland hunting, desiring a dog? Like what's the perfect hunter for a field spaniel?
I would say somebody who, again, I would go back to the speed.
Yeah.
If you want a really fast dog, it's not a field spaniel. If you
Hmm.
want a dog you can walk behind and they're going to cover ground, um, we kind of Neil and I kind of joke around about it. We've both witnessed where dogs are too fast, they overrun their nose. Um, the total opposite happens of a field spaniel.
Mm.
Um, so we were at the line and immediately the dog, we were 30 yards or so from the bird. He's looking at where the bird planted what, or where the bird was planted. Because their nose is just, it's a little bit different.
Hmm.
So I think because of their physical slower speed, I think their scenting ability is a little bit better, um, than what I've seen in springers or cockers. Somebody who's going to hunt a long day with one dog. Um,
Right.
that's a guy that would want a field spaniel. A guy
Okay.
that's prepared to be a little softer in training and know that like there's an independence factor in the breed. Whereas I think springers are a little easier to have, they're a little more willing to please. And I don't know about all cockers, but a common theme with cockers is they're hard to crack. It's like they're on one day, they're off the next day, and what happened? You know,
Right.
they're a puzzle that you kind of got to figure out. I don't think field spaniels are necessarily a puzzle as much as like the cocker is. Um, um, but you just have to approach it, I guess, like a little bit differently with how how heavy-handed or something you are. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can a stern voice correction, um, and you can kind of see that you took the wind out of their sails.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So not that it couldn't be, it sounds like, but maybe not the dog for someone or the breed for someone who's like, I'm just getting into this world and I know nothing about upland hunting and bird hunting. Like that might not be the perfect breed for them. It sounds like it could be, but it's a little
It,
more, you have to kind of know what you're wading into a little more, it feels like.
yes. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and you definitely, and I think it's not the perfect breed for the first guy starting out because I there may be people out there that know what they're looking for in a dog right away.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people, when they get their first hunting dog, they don't really know how
Right.
to go about picking a puppy. Um, with field spaniels, I will say the breeding is so um, monitored and controlled,
Hmm.
and so there's a handful of really, really good breeders, and they can definitely say, look, this dog is going to be the best hunter of the litter. This dog has got no drive whatsoever.
Hmm.
When I when I picked out our dog, I asked our breeder to do the Vollard test. It's a little outdated, but I think the principles are still valid. And so they score the dog. One of the parts of it is you put a wing in a 6x6 contained area, like a X pen or something, and you throw it for the dog. Does he go get it? Does he not look at it at all? Does it scare him? Or does he go after it and just shred it? And you kind of rate it. And so on that test, it shows you how um, how desire to please. It shows you,
Yeah.
is the dog going to be the dog that gives up, or is it the dog that's going to have a little bit of perseverance, stuff like that. If a guy was to go get a field spaniel, you'd want to make a good relationship with the breeder
Yeah.
before um before knowing that that was the breed for them.
Right.
I think just starting out, I don't know, it is hard to beat the ease and reliability of a lab.
Yeah.
um but I think also, and I love my lab to death.
Right.
But I also think that the uplands is not the best place for a lab. I think, the duck blind, the duck boat, that's
Right.
the place where they really do shine.
Yeah, if someone asked me, I would point someone, a brand new person, to a lab as well, even unless they were really attached to wanting a pointing breed. Like that's what I want to do. Like your first dog should just be a lab, in my opinion, and then go
Yeah.
from there because they kind of can do it all, but they also like they're just yeah, they're so easy to train, like you said, and they want to please, and they're just great dogs. So yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. Um, okay. So with the field spaniels, like how is the population of them, and population is growing, but like is the popularity of them, have you seen that growing or does it feel pretty unknown still? I bet a lot of listeners listening today, like I've never heard of a field spaniel. Do you mean a field bred Springer or kind of thing? Like do you see a boost in their popularity or not?
I am probably not the right person to answer that question.
You avoid
Um,
trying to see what the heck's going on out there.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
you know, Obviously, like during COVID, there was probably a boost because there was a boost in
Sure.
most breeds.
Yep.
Um, our breed, I believe, is growing in numbers.
Hmm.
Uh, but I can say, like, as far as like hunt tests go, right? Um, Myself and I think there's three other guys across the entire country running dogs in hunt tests right now. Field
Wow.
spin. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Um, there's believe so. I was just talking to Neil the other day, and so in the AKC Spaniel, yeah, in the AKC Spaniel hunt test world, um, you can have like an advance, like a junior hunter advance or a senior hunter advance master. And there's only been, he said, four senior hunter advanced dogs ever um,
Whatever.
within the
Wow.
breed. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay.
he had three of them.
Ah,
So
okay.
yeah, um,
Wow.
yeah, it's definitely not near as popular um, as uh, Springer, Cocker.
Sure.
They're probably on the level of like a Clumber as
Right.
far as popularity goes, but hunt nothing like a Clumber.
Sure.
Um, you know,
The Clippers are pretty unique. I don't know if you heard, we had early on in the podcast, we had some folks on who breed and hunt with Clumbers. So we talked about them. It was if no one's listening to that, go back. That's an interesting breed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I said on that one, like, I want to get one someday because they're so unique. And like all these messages, you do not want a Clumber. It's like, man, the Clumber hate out there is real. Like, this isn't, let's be nice, guys. Um, no,
Lumbers
it's,
are great for older retired guys that
that's how I feel. Like,
grow
when
up
I'm
in the
at that
woods. I mean,
stage,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Like, when I'm out there
Um,
really just to get out there and I can barely get around the field anymore, hopefully I get to that someday. Like, that's when you want to get a Clumber, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, cool. Anything else about field spaniels that we haven't covered? I have a couple of questions for you too outside of that. But anything else about
Yeah.
field spaniels?
Um, I think we've covered most everything that I can
Okay.
think of as far as differences go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Cool. 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 So your next breed that you get can't be a lab, can't be a field spaniel. What do you want?
Um, man, I don't know. That's tough. I have hunted with guys that have pointing dogs, and
Okay.
that style of upland hunting is not necessarily for me.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I Nothing wrong with it,
Sure.
it's just not for me. Um, Maybe a Springer, but it would have to be, and this would be tough to find, and I'd have to find the right breeder, but it'd have to be like a medium speed, high drive dog, like
Okay.
it would. I like a close working dog that's going to cover ground accurately, and that really I
Right.
love that about the field spaniel. Um,
Right.
he just doesn't miss a bird.
Right.
We go to the preserve and do like pickup birds, right? Where other guys have paid for birds and oh yeah, we lost them or whatever. And you go to the preserve and you pay $5 for every one that you find that somebody else paid for, and he puts
Right.
up six of them in a half an hour and you're like, oh, those other guys' dogs didn't, okay,
They didn't get their
didn't
money's
cover.
worth potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe a Springer, but like I
Okay.
said, maybe it'd have to be kind of slowed down a little bit. Um, at this last hunt test, I watched a few Airedales. That's kind of
Hmm.
an interesting breed.
Yeah.
I would have never pictured them for it, but there was a couple that were really nice. I would hunt behind them.
That's
They were
awesome.
really, yeah, they covered the ground just like you would have seen a lab or a golden, kind of thing. That
Hmm.
is a similar style to them as far as what I saw up in Wisconsin.
All right, so this is out to everyone listening. If you're an Airedale Terrier person and you hunt upland, you need to get on the show because I need to talk to someone about that. I've heard of it happening, but I haven't, it's just that's not common. So I'd love to hear about that. Anyhow, it sounds like you're happy with the Field Spaniel. It sounds like your next dog might actually be another Field Spaniel. It sounds like
Yeah, likely it probably will be. I
nice,
um
very cool.
I love the black and tan look, so it'll
Yeah,
probably be, a black and tan. Again, it's just going to have to be right. They're going to have a lot of drive for the breed.
right.
You can harness that drive and you know really push that out in the uplands and in the duck line, everything else.
Very cool. Yeah, black and tan. And people are going to think you have a Gordon Setter, probably, huh? Like, is that
Probably. Just like they're going to say,
trying to
oh,
think how
how
it
did that
looks?
bird
Yeah.
instead of so short,
Yeah,
or
that's true.
so wide because field spaniels are a little wider too. Their rib cage is very, very well sprung.
Okay.
Um, they're not lab wide,
Sure.
um, but they're certainly wider than what you're going to see like in a field bred Springer
Right.
or even a Boykin.
Yeah, like when I look at there's Bridget. She's my feet down here. Like she's pretty slight. She's only 30 pounds and she's a pretty slight Springer. And my other one's not too big either. She's a little bigger, but um, they're but like what you're describing, it seems like it could probably bust brush better. It almost feels like a field spaniel will be a better option, some thick cover. Um, They don't have to run fast because speed's out of the equation now because they're trying to work this cover and get into thick stuff, and they got the weight and kind of the size and the desire to go get in that thick stuff like you were saying and get at it. Where I know at least one of my springers, she kind of stands on the outside and is like, I don't know. Can I just run through
Yeah.
this grass over here?
Teaching him, so like when I was teaching him like back, right? Just a
Yeah.
simple back, force to pile kind of thing without the force. Um, we were doing it in a mode strip and there's brush on either side of us. And to get him to run a straight line, it was like we had to start at 10 yards away, you know. And because I started trying him, like 30 yards, and it was immediately just into the cover, into the cover, into the cover. And it's like, man, okay, I'm gonna have to way scoot up and have to really make sure that this pile is well established and
Yeah.
really get through to him what I want him to go do,
Right.
start teaching him how to handle.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish, like, give me 5 minutes with my dog understanding English and let me just tell it everything I need to know. And then it can go back to being a dog and we can just live our lives. Like, well, I don't want you running circles in the house. Oh, you don't like that? No, I want you, that kind of thing right there, though. It's like a lot of these dogs, especially the Flushing breeds, and like you said, the field Spaniels are a little more maybe aloof than some of the other Flushing breeds, but they really do want to please you. And it's like, if only they knew what I really wanted.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Ohio. It sounds like you travel to the UP and you're going to South Dakota, but are there birds in Ohio to hunt still, like woodcock or
We have a very small amount of woodcock
okay,
as they're migrating. We've got
sure.
You can get on them sometimes. And we have a couple of uh really tightly kept secrets for some wild pheasant.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Still. Yeah. Um, and then the state always so they release at I don't even remember now, 150 some different places across the state.
Got it.
And that you're allowed your two roosters, a day, and opening day of that is just it's an absolute zoo. Um, so we do have that. Um, but we don't have hardly any rough grouse anymore.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
small section southeast side of the state. You can get into them a little bit still, but you're gonna really have to wear out boot leather to get into them. It's
right.
definitely not like when I went up to eastern UP.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. So, what's you mentioned earlier, I was gonna ask you this, but you mentioned kind of what your white whale right now is the Hun, which is awesome. It's such a Western bird. That I've went up my wall I'm looking at right now. They're interesting. They're fun. They're kind of new to me out here too because the population seems to be growing out here. But Eastern Montana, the Dakotas, they're all over. So you'll have fun chasing them. But what bird is your favorite one to chase?
Rough grouse.
Rough grouse. Nice.
Yeah, the grouse wood, especially that two-track style of hunting. Like I said, you push your dog into the woods. You give them an in command. They go in.
Hmm.
Um, they kind of scallop around back to you. And all the while working that ground, working that cover. Um, and then they push a bird right onto the road for you.
Nice.
Um, it definitely that's a fun way to hunt upland.
I love it.
Um, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And just it's I mean we went into the woods and we went through, the super tight, beating your gun to death and all that stuff. But we were not productive in those areas. That two-track style, like I said, that was really the most productive for us, and that was a lot of fun
Cool.
to do it that way.
Nice. Nice. Since Jared's not here, I'll ask his favorite question for him. Gear. He likes to hear about gear, and I do too. But whatever you want to share, shotgun, preference of shells, boots, like what vests, I guess, well as Jared asked. I think those are kind of the big ones. Like, what do you
Yeah.
have, or what are you hoping to get? You're like, oh, I have this, but I can't wait to order one of these someday.
So I don't run a strap vest. I know I'll probably pay for it this year in North Dakota. Um, I have there's a local company here. Um, and I've had that vest since I was like 18 years old, so like 20 years.
Nice.
It's a Dan's briar-proof gear. And so I've got that, and it's just a regular like your grandpa's old vest kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Guns. So for me, I am a utilitarian. So I run a 12 gauge.
Nice.
I've got a side by side with an English stock. It's a TriStar Bristol 12 gauge single
Hmm.
trigger or selective. Um, really like that. Really hit almost everything that gun I point at.
How long are the
Um,
barrels?
28.
28. Okay.
Yeah, 28.
Cool.
Um, and then I've got a Winchester SX4.
Okay.
Wood
Nice.
furniture, wood furniture blued. I don't
Oh, cool.
nothing wrong with a camo gun, but I like wood furniture better.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, um,
Is
the
that your duck
TriStar,
gun then?
yeah, that's a duck gun. I'll use it. Um, like I used it for like the field trials and stuff like that too.
Sure.
Um, just because I can throw 4 shells in it instead of two. And so it's less reloading at the field trial for me. And you get a bird that gets up and you don't connect and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, shells, I like Fiocchi,
Okay.
for the most part. I like Fiocchi. Um, I like and so it's I guess, kind of unique, but I use the 7.5 target load called the Super Crusher. It
Hmm.
is 1,300 feet per second. It's a 1 ounce payload, um, or a 1 and 1/8 ounce payload. And my waterfowl stuff, I like 1,300 feet per second for that too. So I don't have to think
Yeah.
about whether, and I don't know, maybe lead between 1,450, which is like the common waterfowl stuff, right? That
Hmm.
a lot of people use, and 1,300. Maybe I wouldn't notice it, but in my head, if I miss, it's because, well, I'm changing speed or something. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. You start
um,
second guessing yourself, and yeah, it spirals out of
yeah,
control. Yep. Been
yeah.
there.
So for waterfowl stuff, I use dry lock, Winchester dry lock, 1,300
Okay.
feet per second, and then for upland stuff, we don't have a whole lot of non-toxic restriction here.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
when I was in Michigan, we didn't have any, non-toxic restriction. And when we go out to North Dakota, some of those areas I know, we're starting to put together some of the areas that we're going to be hunting in. They are non-tox only for upland and for anything that you're going after. So I have to come up with a solution for that because I don't really have a solution for that yet. But
Right.
that's a limited amount of areas we'll be hunting too.
Got it. Yeah, we're a lot of non-tox out here, and we kind of default to it now. At least I do. I know Jared does too for the most part. We're just I don't. The only time I use lead is when I'm shooting clays nowadays, in the summer. So I'm always carrying either steel or bismuth. It feels like now,
Yeah.
all the time. So I just had to had to just make it. I made the switch some time ago because there's some like all my favorite places pretty much were non-tox. So what am I going to do? And like you kind of your point, so I didn't want to switch back and forth. On top of getting caught with one lead shell in my vest in a game warden checks me, but also they're different, right? And so I just want to get used to one and just live with that. But yeah, I'm curious where you're going to end up with your non-talk shop for South Dakota then, because there's so many options and so much information out there. And it's hard to tell what's right and wrong and what's hype and what's real and what's science and what's not with all the different types of
Oh,
non-toxic shot out there. So I wish you luck, sir.
thank you. It's endless. We guys that are going out to North Dakota, a handful of us got together. The one guy works somewhere where he had an abundance of cardboard. It was like 30-inch by 30-inch sheets of cardboard. And
Nice.
so everybody went out and bought like 5 boxes of different stuff, right? And then
Hmm.
I'll give you 2 shells of mine, you give me 2 shells of yours. Let's see how they pattern, that sort of thing. And we had hours and hours into, well, this pattern's this way and this pattern's that way. Um, and changing distances, changing between guns. It was a huge research project for us for this North Dakota trip because we definitely didn't want to have the
Yeah.
doubt that it was our equipment. Like if we miss, it's just because we sucked.
Right. Yeah. Especially for going out for a hunt like that and one of the best places to go bird hunt in the country. You want to have all your ducks in order and have your best chance at bringing one down. Yeah, it's interesting because like my Maroki 12 gauge, it couldn't pattern boss at all. Either could my CZs, but then I ran it through my Satori and it's great. So it's just like, what? Like they're the same size chokes, but different guns, different barrels, and it's all different. So it was interesting to see that. Like my CZs, I run Kent Fast Steel because it patterns great. I drop a lot of birds with it. I'm not going to complain, but I have to, yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So I'm glad you guys are doing that, learning what to carry and giving yourself your best chance. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. Are you bringing both dogs out to the Dakotas with you?
I am. We're gonna
Cool.
have, yeah, we're gonna have, I think yeah, so we're at six guys, 10 dogs.
Sweet. A mix of
Um,
Flushing and Pointers?
no,
No.
we have, uh, let me think. We have four field spaniels going.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like the
The
most
guy
in
I
the country
mentioned,
in one spot, probably at that given time.
probably. Yeah, probably. Other than like at a dog show, or
Oh,
national equestrian.
sure. Yeah, sure, sure.
Other than that, yeah, that would be the most, concentrated. Um, yes, Neil has all female field spaniels.
Okay,
Uh, and I think he has eight. Um, and so he's going to bring three of them.
cool.
Then I'll bring Murdoch is the field spaniel's name, and Sam the lab. Um, my buddy that I mentioned that kind of got me introduced into the breed. He's got three springers. Well, he's got four springers, but he's one female is pregnant, so she's
Oh,
not going to be there.
sure.
She'll have young pups and stuff. Um, so he'll have three springers, and then a really good friend of mine, Jason, has a really, really high powered, really well trained lab. Like they'll be going to the Master National next year,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, all self trained. He's done a really good job with that
That's
dog.
awesome.
Um, so he'll go, and then one of the other guys, Jameson, he's got a yellow lab, and she'll go as well, as long as she's not like in heat or you know with
Sure.
puppies or anything like that. Um, she'll be there too. So, like I said, it's going to be a mixed bag kind of deal. The guys with the Springers and Field Spaniel, they're going to really focus their efforts on upland hunting, Hungarian
Hmm.
partridge, and chop-tailed grouse.
Yep.
Um, the guys with labs, they're going to do more waterfowl stuff. Because I've got both, I'm going to
Hmm.
split my time pretty much 50-50.
Love it.
Um, yeah, we're going to be out there for 10 days. So if I can bring home a bag limit of ducks, bag limit of geese, sandhill crane, Hungarian partridge, and sharp-tailed grouse, I'll have won the lottery. So
Sweet. Sweet. That's awesome. Well, and maybe we'll have to have you back on after the season and hear about this trip. It sounds like a blast, especially if that means flushing dogs and go flush yourself. Like we'd have to bring you on. Maybe bring one of your hunting buddies or two to come on and chat about how that went with all those dogs. That sounds like just a great time.
yeah,
Um, when you're after those sharp tails and huns, the biggest thing with spaniels is keeping them tight in range because once they get on the scent and like those covey birds start moving through that thin grass, like they won't move fast, they'll move slow, then your dog wants to chase them and the range starts separating out and you're like, oh crap, and you see them flush. It's like I learned that the hard way. Now it's like stay close, like keep calling her back in, calling her back. Then she finally figures the game out. Oh, okay, I gotta hang up here and let dad catch up to the birds and me. So it's fun though. You have a blast.
when you're calling her back in, are you like just like a comeback whistle for her?
Oh, I'm just saying, Bridge, Bridge, dad, Bridge. But she's my dog that I don't bring Sophie on those kind of hunts because she'll hunt for herself and just I did it once and I'll never do it again. Um, but Bridge, if I just can give her the Bridge, she'll like, oh yeah, okay. She's looking at me right now like what? She's like she'll hang close then and hang back. She just we hunt really well together. She just kind of knows. Okay, like when we're sneaking up on ducks to jump, I do the same thing. Kind of whisper her name a few times and she's like, oh okay. And she gets back. Um, That's what I do, but whatever works for you and your dog, I guess, is what we need to do. But just keep that in mind when you're out there because it's very different from pheasants and quail and anything else you're going to chase. For me, at least, with a flushing dog, for a pointing dog, it's much easier with those kind of birds because you just let them go and they go find them and point them, and the bird just sit there and wait because that's what they do. Um,
Right.
the
Pressure
flusher
there.
starts moving them, and
Right.
they get
Right.
excited and birdie, and then they move them more, and then there they go.
And he has like I said, just a tremendous amount of drive. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it'll be fun, but it makes it all sweeter when if it is challenging. I think it is more challenging with the flushing dog for Sharpies and Huns. But when you do connect, everything worked out perfect, and it's that much better. So
yeah,
I'm sure you'll get one, and I hope to hear about it. Maybe after the season, I'll have to have you back on. Thanks, Mike, for
yeah.
joining us. I really appreciate you coming on talking field Spaniels. Learned a lot. I'm gonna go Google some pictures and have all these different colors you brought up. I thought they were only black and brown. So.
Well, what I can do is, I mean, obviously, everybody's got pictures of their dogs. I can just message you on Facebook, on your
Yeah.
guys' Facebook page or whatever, a handful of pictures of them, and then all the listeners, that follow you on Facebook and stuff, they can see those dogs if you want.
Yeah,
You
I'll post them up,
can-
and we can people can see them, and we can go from there for sure. And maybe we'll get some pictures of them for the cover of this podcast when it gets shared out on social media and whatnot. We can everyone can get a look at a field spaniel. Maybe a
Yeah,
picture of their feet next to the lab's feet. That's crazy. Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome, Mike. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you joining us today.
No, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Go Flush Yourself podcast. You can continue the conversation on our Discord server. The link is in the podcast description. You can also follow along with Matt and Jared on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to the Go Flush Yourself on Patreon for the easy monthly cost of only $2. You can also check out our shop and pick up a Go Flush Yourself sticker, shirt, or other merchandise. All links are in the podcast description.